So, HTML, what is it? Let's get ahead and just click here and see if we can get an answer to it. It says that originally HTML was designed as a language for semantically describing and sharing scientific documents. Well, that is actually true. And you'll see quite shortly why that is. There is a certain figure looming far ahead of us, called Tim Berners-Lee, that will give you context to this. It is also something we use for Google general design, has made it possible to adapt to several other types of documents and applications. So even though it first was meant for scientific documents, it has been used since then for any kind of document or any kind of information, because its general design was useful for all these kind of cases. So we talk about code a lot. We talk about programming, and we think that everything that is code is also programming. What it's not. In fact, it's very much not the case. In part of this course, we'll talk about HTML, and we'll also talk about CSS. But both of these two are actually not programming languages. HTML, for example, here, it's a markup language. It marks out where something starts, where something ends. You don't program with it. So it's not programming that you do when you take this course. You are coding, yes. You're not programming. And, well, there it goes. It says what something starts, and often also providing a description of that content, which is what we'll get into later, but that is what we call semantics. It is crucial to understand that markup language is not a programming language. This has already been said earlier, but now it's really important that you do not talk about, oh, I'm taking a programming course. So for your own sake, for your own future, don't talk about this like this is a course in programming, because it's not. It's not a course in programming in any way. You will have here a couple of concepts that are often brought up in programming during this course, like single point of definition or keep it dry, or a lot of other stuff that we'll encounter later on, and we'll get these things cleared out, and we'll also get the context for them. But just because we talk about general concepts of programming that also is applicable here, doesn't mean that we're actually programming, because we're not. Not in any shape or form. So then, who is Tim Berners-Lee? Yeah, many of you might not have heard of Tim Berners-Lee. No, he is not the inventor of the paperclip, or the microwave, even the ballpoint pen. No, though those are all useful in their own right, Tim Berners-Lee is the genius behind something far more transformative. And may you believe it or not, it's the World Wide Web. And those of you who didn't know about him, ask yourself, why? Why do we even... I love Einstein. I love him so much, but why don't we know about Tim Berners-Lee? He has transformed our world. And for many of you, you don't even know about the transformation, but you'll basically live on it. It's part of your everyday. And it all began with an idea at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Tim Berners-Lee envisioned a way to use hypertext to share information seamlessly across the globe. This concept, hypertext, allowed text on a computer to be linked to other text, making it easy to navigate between related pieces of information. You know, I talked about scientific documents earlier. You know, CERN, they do a lot of science. That's what they're all about. And they do a lot of science. They really need to know what other people are doing kind of science, so you can draw upon each other's knowledge. So this is where we actually go to. We're like, the core of it all is science. It's knowledge. It's actually reaching for that knowledge and having it ready available for you. That's the driving force behind all of this. And he saw the potential in connecting hypertext with the growing internet later on. Not immediately, but later on. And instead of mailing documents, back and forth, why not put them on the internet for everyone to access? It might seem clear to all of you that is just something obvious, but when internet wasn't a thing, it was far from obvious. And this revolutionary idea led to the first ever web page, a simple telephone directory. And that's mundane, yes, but Tim didn't stop there. He created the first web server, known as HTTPD, and the first web browser, aptly named World Wide Web. These tools were crucial in demonstrating, the power and the potential of the web. And he also was this evangelist for the web all the time, talking about it and, making it a part of people's everyday life. He's not just a nerd. He is a person who could, channel that knowledge. I love nerds. I'm a nerd myself, but this guy could do it all. Could create the stuff, and he could also be the evangelist for it. So, yeah, I just want to keep going. Like Berners-Lee's contribution didn't end with these, initial creations, recognizing the need for standardization to ensure web growth and accessibility. For all of that, he founded the World Wide Web Consortium. So he had a foresight of actually seeing ahead that this need to be regulated by someone. Has to be a democratic body that actually looks at these kind of stuff and the information that goes up there and puts up, rules sometimes, but most often it's more like a semantic way of how we speak and convey information. And that he did in 1994. The V3C develops, open standards to ensure the long-term growth of the web. That's what they do. He also introduced the first, I know. When I started the sentence, I was saying he also introduced the first. He was like, yeah, did he do more? Yeah, he did. The markup language that forms the backbone for every website and URL, the addressing scheme for the locating, documents or web. Furthermore, he developed HTTP, the protocol for transferring web pages over the internet. So he introduced the first version of HTML. He developed HTTP, which you know very well. The first version of it, at least. And so as you embark in this course to learn HTML in CSS, I want to remember that Tim Berners-Lee is probably the reason you're here today. He's groundbreaking, work to not only pave the way for the digital world we live in, but also continues to shape its future. He truly deserves to be known and celebrated. I don't know him as a person, but what he did here, that is basically been what my life has been all about, my work life at least. And it's a big part of my private life as well. So I hope that after this, celebration of him, that we, so to speak, I hope you remember this guy, Tim Berners-Lee. Thank you. I'll see you in the next part of the lecture.